Hey, what is going on? Everything should be up and running here, right? Okay. My name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm on the wrong page. There we go. The music wasn't going when I hit the music button because I had a voice changer on and it was weird. Yeah. Let's talk about that in a little while. Working on a cartoon project. Can you believe I'm going to voice a cartoon? Never would have expected it, but it's true. I can't tell you about it. It's a secret. But I'm going to do some stuff that's cool, and it's going to come out at some point in the future. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day, whether I'm here or somewhere else. I'm talking traffic law, traffic safety, pedestrians, cyclists, you name it, we talk about it. And I just got through the Toronto, no, I almost did that wrong, the Canadian International Auto Show. That was held at the Metro Toronto Convention Center from the 14th to the public, 13th for the media. I was there for the entire time, save and except for a few days in the middle where I had a tire issue. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. Just a quick good morning to Atomic and Cam and CC Brando and Jay Sutter and Liz who jumped in and Lush who jumped in. Good morning to Nathan, Trevor, and Static in the 6. Is that right? Yeah, what's going on? We have got first of all, it's the first day back in the office, and I am excited to be here. Why? Because I have been on my feet for a very long time. It is no small task to be at the auto show. Shout out to my friends in Blue Family at the Toronto Police. I spent the entire week with them, and it was fantastic. Like it was awesome to be with them. Why? Well, because we got to catch up. It's been a long time since it's 5 months. 5 months since I left the job, and it was just nice to hang out. We met so many people who watch the show. This show, they used to watch there. They found me here. Awesome to meet all of you. I had a really great time. I also had a whole bunch of stickers. Yes, I made my Beardo stickers. If you want one of these, let me know. We'll get one to you. Yona Bud, how you doing? He just jumped in on Instagram. We've got Jay Sutter. Who wants to know, why did I retire? How many years of service did you get? I left, so total service amongst auxiliary, courts, and PC was just under 25 years. So it was a time, but not nearly enough. I didn't retire properly. I left early for family reasons. And it's tough. It's a tough go to leave something you love. But when you leave it for the right reasons, it's the right reason. All right. Cam wants to know how the car show was. You know what? It's not the car show I grew up with. It's not the giant event that has the Skydome involved. It's a little bit smaller, but it's still amazing. It's great to see all the new toys. I really wanted to see the new Expedition. I'm an Expedition guy. Sadly, the Expedition was roped off. So while I did a little walk around, it was arm's length. I wanted to sit inside and see what it looks like and felt like and smelled like, but oh well, maybe next year. Or maybe I'll have one. No, probably not. I did get a chance to finally sit in the Cybertruck, which was a little disappointing in terms of just sitting in it. They did have test drives going on, and I said I would do it. I said I'm going to go drive around for a 5-minute little zip in a Cybertruck in the snow, but I never got the opportunity. See, every time I wanted to do something, I had someone walk in and start talking to me, and that was far more interesting than going around the block in a Cybertruck. So I got to meet wonderful people, and I've got a pal in Burlington now that we're going to hook up, and we're going to go to the Pew Pew range and connect and do some IPSC and BBC stuff. Anyway, I did talk to the fine folks at Tesla who said they'd hook me up with a half-hour ride if I came to a dealership. Apparently, anyone can go and do this. It's not special treatment. You can just go and test drive a Tesla Cybertruck. So I'm going to do that, even though Brian Max says I'll be disappointed. But I need to find out for myself. I need to go and try it, and then be disappointed or be amazed. I haven't driven that many electric vehicles. How many electric vehicles have I driven? Is it just the Model X? It may have just been the Model X that my friend Mike has. I may have not given them a solid chance. Anyway, Liz says, good morning. And I just realized I have YouTube comments that aren't being shown. So Akela Draconis says, greetings and salutations from Union Station. What's going on? Akela is a longtime listener, contributor, and friend of the show who's actually been in studio with me in the old days when I was at TPS. We have Nathan who says, can I drive in the state of Florida with my G2? Okay, I guess we're doing questions, so I guess I'll start the timer. Timer is on. We got 45 minutes of questions before we move on to dad jokes. If you got dad jokes, please let me know. I will put them in and mark them for later, and then we'll do it in the wrap up. All right. So can I drive in the state of Florida with my G2? If you are visiting Florida, if you are a driver with a G2, you can operate a motor vehicle there. You're licensed basically anywhere that a G-Class driver is licensed. You have a condition or probationary license, but it's still a full license. Of course, you have conditions. You have to follow those conditions. So you can't have any alcohol at all whatsoever in your system. You have conditions in the first year. First 6 months, you can have no more than one person under the age of 20 in the vehicle while you are driving between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. Saving except for immediate family, so there's exemptions. And then for second 6 months, you can have up to 3 people under the age of 20 between those hours. And that's pretty much it. Zero alcohol and those conditions. And of course, if you get into trouble, know that the consequences have increased penalties, regardless of where you are, just as a G2, as a learner driver. As a G1 driver, though, and I know that's not your question, but as a G1 driver, you don't have the same opportunity. You're not really licensed outside of the province of Ontario. Really, you're not even licensed. You're just given the opportunity to learn. And it would be my suggestion that if you're a G1 driver, stick to Ontario. Don't go wandering around onto parts unknown. It's not the way to learn. Road trips are great, but not for learning how to drive properly as a newbie. Just my 2 cents. You do you. I did do some investigating. I spoke to Michigan State Police. They had no idea what I was talking about at all. But it seems that they might allow it. They might accept it, even though it's technically not their license. But then again, any license isn't the license of that state. It's a reciprocal agreement to accept the licensing authority of the home province or state and then give you anyway, your mileage may vary. All right. Boom, boom, boom. We got Brando who says, good morning, Sean. I am working as a community peace officer in Alberta. Hope all is well and you have a wonderful day. CC Brando 1234. Thank you so much. I don't know if I can follow you back here, but DM me so I can follow you back. I'd love to stay in touch. I'd love to know more. But I have whereabouts in Alberta, because of course I've got a friend in Alberta, in Brooks, Alberta. Are you in Brooks, Alberta? Logan Grant is a community peace officer who does traffic enforcement. He's now a supervisor, and he has joined me on the show when I was with TPS, and he has threatened to join me on the show now that we are voiceover cop, and I look forward to that. Yona Butt I gave a shout out to earlier, but Yona is an amazing dude who we met because of his radio show. I was on his radio show as a guest a number of times, and he came to meet up with me at the Honda Indy a couple of years ago. But we haven't seen each other in a while, so we have to rectify that. And let's see what's going on. TikTok's got a bunch of stuff going on. Panoramic Outdoors says hunting or fishing, can't say both. I don't know how that relates to anything I do. But maybe I don't know what he was talking about. Maybe because I was talking about PPC and IPSC, although they're not related. When I said IPSC, it's International Practical Shooting Federation or Confederation, and PPC is Police Pistol Combat. I like shooting sports. Okay. And we've got Can O2 Gold, who wants to know who is responsible for blowing off ice on trucks, vans, cars on the highway if they cause. Oh, sorry, let me rephrase. Who's responsible for ice blowing off of trucks, vans, cars on the highway if they cause a damage or crash? Well, obviously the person who had the ice or snow on their vehicle. If you are transporting ice to spend, whether if it was the creator of all who put it there, or Mother Nature, or whoever you want to credit for the wind and snow, whoever put that ice there, even if it wasn't you, you're responsible for it. That's why you see these giant systems that 18-wheelers can drive under, and it has basically a snow blade that cleans the truck off. That being said, I have seen a huge number of vehicles, trying to capture it on my dash cam lately, that have like igloos on top of the back of their trucks. That's just enormous amounts of snow. And when that falls off, whether it creates the mist and foggy effect of blowing snow, or it comes off on a chunk and destroys a car, either way, that vehicle is directly or indirectly, depending on how you want to word it, involved for that collision. So not good. Now, reasonable or unreasonable to have someone try and climb the back of their truck. There needs to be something in place for them to clean the vehicle, or they shouldn't be on the road. It's unsafe. Okay. Hot Watt says that they followed the host. Thank you so much. And Seth Dedon says that he basically said that the owner of the vehicle that it came from is responsible. Absolutely. TikTok on TikTok says my husband has his board interview with TPS this week, and he tips the board interview. Board interview? Oh, panel interview. Because board suggests police services board, and usually it's a panel interview with a number of sergeants or ranking officers. And listen, be yourself, be honest, answer questions, and don't over answer that you answer things they didn't ask for. Like stick to what they're asking for. And I gave some advice at the police at the police booth this weekend. Basically, a young lady that I had met last year and asked me for some advice is now in the application process. Shout out to you. And was asking about how to answer questions in an interview. And I basically give my tip, which is I answer what I did and what I didn't do. Now, why do I answer both? I answer with what I did and why I did it, and what I could have done and why I didn't do that. So I cover both reasons for I give them some insight into my decision-making process. And I think that's a very good way to go. But you do what works for you. The big thing is be prepared. Like you should have stories and think about your life and how you will share the information as opposed to spend, like when people ask me, tell me a really cool thing that happened to you when you were on the job. And I have to sit there and think about it because I'm never ready with a really cool story about something I did while I was on the job, oddly enough. I can't have you waiting for it. You can't sit there and go, well, so it's either you got one or you don't. And considering the entire interview process is talking about your experiences, you got to have some. Think about it, a couple of times when you were challenged to make a decision, when you were, challenged with a situation of racism or conflict or harassment, or you had to do something that was tough and conflict resolution. Like go through. There's got to be tons of resources online that give you some direction. I have got that dad joke from Bernhard flagged, and I see Randy says, good morning, Sean. Welcome back from the auto show. Thank you very much, Randy. I appreciate it. It was a good time. I really look forward to these events. They are awesomeness. We've got, wind. So Quebec has windpipes at their truck inspection stations. Is there a reason Ontario or en route don't? I guess the windpipe is for cleaning off the top of the truck. Is that what it is? I'm not familiar with the product name. I don't know. I think that I think we've gotten away with not doing things right for a long time. And I think that the time is now to make roads safe again. So we need to do those things and have those products available so people who want to be safe and responsible can be. Hey, if you're just tuning in, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you're on TikTok, please do me a favor. Please tap that screen until your fingers go numb and show the screen some likes. I see that we've got a couple. We got 171 likes sent so far. When we start getting into the thousands, it starts telling people who are in other channels or surfing the Facebook, the Book of Face, not Facebook, the Book of TikTok, that they are missing out, that they should be here. It really helps the algorithm. And I see people are hitting those screens now. Thank you so much. Had a lot of discussion during the show about whether or not 10 o'clock is the right time. A lot of young people, a lot of students are saying that they are missing out on the opportunity and really would prefer 3 or 4 o'clock. There is no perfect time, but if you do miss the live, if you can't watch the entire thing, know that you can watch replays on our YouTube channel. If you go to @voiceovercop, if you search me there, you will find me. And I have under 300 followers there. We had 3,800 followers when we were traffic services, which is not that far away when you think about it. 4,000 followers is not that much. But you can help by going there and following, and then you can watch all the archives. You can also download the live stream as a recorded podcast, because when I'm done doing the live stream, I go there, I upload it into the cloud, and it is then made available at all of the different places that you may download podcasts from. Let's see here. We have some folks coming in. The likes are going. I appreciate your help. It really does. It's a community thing, folks. Also, if you share the live, if you actually tell people that this is worthy of their time, your endorsement goes a long way. I ran into some really cool people, some fine folks who expressed their their joy that I keep doing this after I left the job. Because two gentlemen, if you're watching, shout out to my friends who control the fleets of, how do we put this without putting this, of kittens, kitten soft. I don't know how to say it. But yes, some products that have kittens on them. But they apparently use my videos to help with their training, and I really appreciate the feedback. It's so great to know that people are getting value out of the things that we're doing, both then and now. So shout out to my friends that from the show. Okay, Carl Freeman says, good morning, Sean, and good morning, Carl. Hope you're doing well. That message was from X. If you're watching on X, know that you can also ask questions. I see 23 people are currently lurking or watching on X, but you can jump into the conversation. We've got people on YouTube watching. LinkedIn is also linked in if you want to watch. And today's show is brought to you by Barrett Legal. They are our legal friends who want to support what we're doing here. So they have made a financial contribution to be able to pay for software and pay for things that make it possible to do what we're doing here. So if you need a legal will, they do that. If you've got tax issues, they do that. Just giving them a shout out and showing them some love. Aiden wants to know if this is a Shure SM7B microphone, and it absolutely is. I'm pouring water all over myself. That was terrible. Okay, as I wanted to make my microphone more visible. I'm now a little bit wet. That's okay. It's water. It dries. And fortunately, no electronic devices were harmed in the spillage of my water. Anyway, always something interesting happening here. Okay. EO says, love the streams. Actually, they said, hey, Sean, love the streams. Thanks very much, EO. Appreciate the feedback. And is it Caden who wants to know if I wanted to modify my exhaust, tune my car, or upgrade the internals, what is legal and what isn't? Like if I wanted to make my car shoot flames. Shooting flames bad. I will tell you that that is likely going to get you some negative attention and possibly identify you as someone who has, violated what used to be considered the Environmental Protection Act and is now woven into the HTA. Effectively, you're looking at hundreds of dollars of tickets if you don't get taken off the road. But it depends on the officer you run into and what their skill level is and what their familiarity is on all the laws. But flames, bad. It's pretty simple. Now, if you want to change out your wheels, tint your windows within the legal limits, if you want to get a paint job, a pinstripe, throw a wing to make it look fast, but even though it may not necessarily go fast, a lot of wings are just silly looking. I think that the 80s whale tails were cool, but they should be left in the 80s. And so EO, now that was Caden, but EO jumps in and says, I'm looking to strap a flamethrower to his 99 Toyota Corolla. Thoughts on the legality of this? Yeah, I'm going to say we should steer clear of flamethrowers. Although I wouldn't mind picking up one of the Boring Company's flamethrowers. They're kind of cool. Have you seen Elon's? He's got a subsidiary or another company called the Boring Company, and they have a flamethrower. It's just one of those useless things that it's kind of neat. So back to what your options are. Give me an idea. Tell me what you'd like to do to your car, and we can break this down, Caden, right now. Tell me what you want to do. So your exhaust, you got to have an exhaust system. You got to have a resonator. You got to have your cats, your catalytic converters. You can tune it. You can make it better. You can put higher performance tires, stiffer springs. But something, and I keep talking about this regularly, your vehicle was designed with millions of dollars of an R&D program going into making it the best that it can be and the safest it can be as you got it. Now, obviously, you can make it faster, you can make it turn better, but it's basically trying to squeeze more out of something that was not prepared to do that. So you're making a vehicle that may perform less good as a result of the stuff you're doing to it. Just food for thought. Now, if you drop the suspension way too, see, Caden says, I'd like to be able to remove my two catalytic converters, resonator, or muffler, remove the steering wheel with the airbag. So everything you've just stated is illegal. You're not legally permitted to remove the steering wheel with the airbag. If it was designed and manufactured with an airbag, it must have an airbag. Removing the airbag is against the law. There's a specific charge for it. The only people who can remove it are a Red Seal mechanic, I believe. And even then, having your airbag removed, if your vehicle is supposed to have it, makes it less safe. So not only does it make it less safe for you, but I believe it renders it no longer safe for the road. someone from the ministry can update or correct me if I'm incorrect on that. But in terms of your catalytic converters, you must have them. Resonator and muffler are absolutely required. If your vehicle was manufactured and put on the road whilst the laws for those were in place, then you got to have them. So that's the story. Those things you cannot do. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry you can't break the law. That's a very Canadian apology, I think. Carl Freeman we talked to, but Brandon says, good morning, Sean. Sorry I didn't make it to the show. We will have to meet up soon, maybe lunch. Let's all be safe. Brandon, absolutely, I would look forward. I do look forward to the chance. I've got a lot of lunches pending. I've got some smoked meat delicatessen that we're talking about. I've got pho with Mike. I've got a whole bunch of lunch things. What are we getting, Brandon? What is the choice lunch option? But anyway, lunch now I'm thinking about lunch. It happens. What do we got here? So boom. Seth wants to know about civilian reporting service. Do you think it could work here, like the one in the NYC, New York City, for parking tickets? So this is an interesting concept. Let's talk about it. In New York City, if you see someone who's illegally parked, you can take a picture and send that information to the parking authority, and you actually get a cut of the ticket. You can make money by reporting people. What an interesting concept. Now, I'm sure there are people who would be happy about that, and I'm sure even more positive that many people would not be happy about it. What do you think? Do you think that you should be able to report people and actually get a cut of the commission? Would you make that a part-time job? Like instead of Ubering, would you walk around and enforcing traffic tickets like parking? I think it's interesting. And I certainly would love that. I think if I had an app and I was just going for a walk and I found a whole bunch of violators that I could make a difference. See, people get away with stuff like because no one sees it or no one cares to report it. But if you incentivize, interesting. So I think it could work. Now, Seth says, except here to curb the unsafe drivers on our highways and city streets. Well, I say, so Seth was saying not specifically for parking, but do it for every kind of offense, I'm guessing. I kind of like that idea. Okay, a little intro into what's going on in my life here in terms of content creation. I'm working on a project with a YouTuber and that has been on the show and is a good friend of mine. And we're planning to go on the hunt. We're going to be looking for some bad drivers. Now, I don't mean bad drivers like Canada's worst driver situation. I'm talking about bad drivers who are out on the road doing their thing, and we are going to capture that on camera. We're going to share it with you. We're going to give a commentary. We're also going to hunt down some good places to eat, so maybe Brandon comes to meet up with us one day. But we are going to find food and find traffic faux pas. I haven't got a name for the show yet, but we're going to do a series of those. There's so many things coming down the pipe. I've got really exciting plans coming. Now, what are those plans and how is this all happening? Well, I started a not-for-profit. It's called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. But in doing that whole thing, we now have the ability to hire some people, create opportunities to record things, edit things, and create some high-quality content beyond that of the Q&A. I think you'll find it very entertaining. I hope you do. And if you don't, well, at least I'll enjoy the content because I'll be the one creating it. But at the same time, shows like Canada's Worst Drivers, as Greg Marshall points out, was great. And I think we need some real stuff, some stuff on the road, catching real people doing stuff. And you know this, you go through traffic, you look out your window, and every car is on their phone. So I want to capture all that on camera. I like to come up with some shocking statistics of how many drivers I see on a 1 hour drive breaking the law. Because everyone talks about quotas, police officers who are writing tickets and sweating the small stuff when really they should be out fighting real crime. But if you were to look at just how many people I can catch in a civilian vehicle roaming around with a camera, I think you'll be shocked. I think that might change some hearts and minds. So it's not just taking advantage of all those poor text and drive people. I not to mention the fact that I got to get my hands on a radar device to catch some speeds. I want to record some speeds, not for enforcement purposes, just for educational purposes. Anyway, moving along, fun stuff. If you're watching, you're just tuned in, you have no idea who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you are watching, that means we were meant to meet. So please follow, please like, and please share this live stream. And of course, all the content I create, because it's there to help. If you're not sharing it, you're part of the problem. No, it's not your responsibility, but it would be appreciated. Let's see here. Angelo says, swear I saw you at the auto show on Saturday. Angelo, you're absolutely right. I was there. I was there for most of the week. I did have 3 days where I was dealing with a tire situation. What was that tire situation? Do I have a photo here I can show you? I think I do. I think it can. Let's see here. I don't know if this won't do it justice. I wrote an entire article, a little story about what happened. But here's my tire. Now, that does not look healthy, does it? That is where the tread is gone. The belt is gone. That it completely separated from the magical inner portion that actually retains the air. So it was holding air. It was just wobbly and not safe. So it started as what was a little shake, a little bit of a vibration. And I thought, you know what? It's probably ice and snow because I got a 4-wheel drive and I've been driving in deep snow because I don't want to plow my driveway because I'm being lazy. So I was driving over deep stuff, and I figured baking in that goodness overnight just means it needs to melt off or hit a bump, and it went away. Warmed up, issue seemed to disappear, and that fed my belief that it was just ice or snow. And then it came back when it snowed again. Okay, the vibration was a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? More. It was more pronounced. It was more vibration to the point where the car was wiggling. I'm like, this ain't right. But in my mind, I'm like, but it was ice and snow. And I spoke to a number of my colleagues in the automotive industry. I say colleagues like I'm like I design cars. No, people that I know that are in the know about cars and driving, like people like Brian Max who review cars and race cars. And we somehow, whilst driving down the highway with a slight wobble, were able to determine that, yes, it's likely that. Go for a car wash, melt it off, and it should be fine. And it went away until it came back. And this time it was much more pronounced. And I called CAA. They came lickety split. I got to tell you, shout out to CAA South Ontario. I don't know. SCO, South Central Ontario. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Amazing. Like, they were there in 15 minutes in a day that was snowing and crappy out. And I was really impressed. Top-notch service. This is not a paid thing. I just happen to really appreciate them. I've been a member forever. They are a godsend when you need someone to get you out of a mess, whether it be a dead battery, lock your keys in the car, if that even happens anymore. I have a keyboard, so I don't need keys. But so that hasn't been a problem. But in terms of tires needing to be changed, I am no longer in the position to start pulling out tools and cranking things at the side of the road. Ever since my crash, I really appreciate that there's someone out there who can help me, especially if I've got my kids with me. Let's say changing a tire is not a safe thing on the side of the highway. So CAA came and they made the change. It was fantastic. I got my full-size spare on. I went home. It was smooth, although the spare tire is, one, it's aged. It's not exactly a new tire. It came with the vehicle brand new. It was not a snow tire, so 3 snows and 1 not. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go on the highway. We're just going to get it home in limp mode, and we're going to wait for a new tire. And that's what I did. So I called my friends at Tire Butler, and they ordered me the appropriate tire, and it came the next day. They installed it for me, and magic. Like, first of all, they're amazing. If you don't know Tire Butler, check them out. They usually will just show up at your door, tire in hand, do your swaps for your winters, store your winters, and vice versa, summers. Premium service that takes care of you if you appreciate how valuable time is. Because when you go to a tire shop and you're there for half a day to get your tire swapped, or you're trying to fit a schedule in and book in, they do amazing stuff. I can't say enough good things. They saved me. I did miss a couple of days of the show, and that was partially because of the tire and partially because I managed to fit a whole bunch of other appointments and things I needed to do in. Either way, I missed out on 3 days, and that was sad. Let's get back to questions and answers as I get off topic and talk about tires. It was a really big deal for me. I'm just really glad that it didn't explode on the road. That would have been suboptimal. All right. Boop-a-doo. Aiden says, some people, I swear, forge their licenses. Aiden, I think there's a lot of people who are dealing with some fraudulently obtained licenses. Yes, license authorizations, people who shouldn't be on the road. Now, that could be a number of reasons. One, they may not have ever really qualified and got lucky, or, the instructor or tester sneezed when they should have been paying attention and missed all the oopsie-doos, or maybe they had the, cousin Bob go in for them, and it seems like they've lowered the standards in Ontario for driving in a big way, because there's way too much bad crap going on the road that shouldn't be, but it is. So, and then of course there's the legitimate fraud we know about, because we've seen the investigative reporters going in and talking to people who are willing to either take cash or play some kind of trickery or teach the exam, as opposed to teaching people how to drive. They just teach exactly what they need. Or there's people who come from other countries that were crappy drivers there and are now crappy drivers here, but they had a straight trade situation because of the reciprocal agreement between countries. Yeah. Here Now 905 says, if we had a quota, officers getting 10% of the fines. Sorry, if we had a quota where officers got 10% of the fines, there would be more enforcement. If cops gave commission, first of all, I would have retired 5 years ago. I gave a lot of tickets. I gave a lot of tickets because I wanted to change the driver behavior. That's the reason tickets exist. It's to change people's driving behavior, not to make money for the city. But if I was getting 10%, oh yeah, I'd be on fire. I'd be cutting down trees to make ticket paper. It would be insane. Oh, I missed a whole bunch of stuff on the Instagram. It didn't notify me that there was more, and I just needed to scroll. All right, so Cam says, okay, I'm on vacation, dude. I will talk to you later. Okay, Cam, catch you later. Liz says, love that you said Sky Dome while talking about the auto show. Yeah, it's Rogers Center now. Sorry, Sky Dome is totally old. Okay, and so am I. I still remember being at the Eaton Center when when they were asking for people to submit like suggestions for what to call the Sky Dome, and I think we should have kept the Sky Dome because it was a way cooler name than Rogers Center. No, I don't like the new name. Cam says the Cybertruck is super disappointing. He gets stuck in the snow. I've seen videos of that. It is disappointing. Ryan, the thin white line interceptor, jumps in and waved hello, and I totally ignored them for a long time. Jay Sutter says, interesting loophole about G1 is if you go to BC or Yukon, they'll trade your license in for a full license. This happened to a few people I know. Well, yes, I've heard of that too. So because they don't have the same learner's permit, if you come with a license that is a learner's permit, you can get your full license, which is horrific, horrifying, horrible, bad idea. Because if you then come back to the province and you have a full license from another jurisdiction, you can trade that in for a full license. Don't do that. I mean, I appreciate that it happens and it's a loophole, but it's a way to get hurt because most people can't drive after doing the whole learner's permit process. And to give someone a license after only a learner's permit, it's so bad. Hopefully, Ontario figures that out and says, you can have a full license out there because they made the screw up. When you come back here, we know how long you'll be driving, and they don't give it to you. I'm hoping that they do that. Brando says, I am working in the area of Red Deer in between Edmonton and Calgary. I will definitely send you a DM. Awesome. That's the community special constable. Community constable. Wait. I don't want to misidentify. Peace officer. I always say that wrong. Community peace officer. Okay. We got, is the police interview very difficult? Is it difficult? It is different than other interviews. I think it's more challenging, but it's designed to try and understand who you are and how it's hard to figure out what a person's all about by meeting them in 10 minutes or half an hour, depending on how long your interview. But it is great that it is a great way to get more out of people. And yeah, if you're not honest, if you're hiding things, it's going to look like you're hiding things in that kind of interview. So is it difficult? It's not a skill testing question, difficult kind of thing. Like you have to memorize things, but you have to be open and honest, and you have to basically convince 3 people that you're appropriate for wearing the uniform and serving the community. Evan wants to know if I'm on Spotify podcast. Yes, I am. This will be shared on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio and all that jazz. Creator Steve, what are you doing? How you doing? What's going on? Pat Maloney, how you doing? Kurt, what's up? Body by Jeff popped in. Okay, I really didn't see all these people come in. Tony D259 says, "Hey Sean, how's retirement going? Haven't seen you at our place at Young in York region lately. Which place? Which place? I'm trying to place you for which place on Young in York region. All right, I gotta hang on a second. Where's my pencil to scribble? I need to scribble. I got to reach out to you and figure out where I haven't come to visit you at. Yes, apparently, I do visit people all over the place, but I'm going to DM you. So I'm assuming you may not be there right now. 259. Okay, we'll connect. I'll figure out what you're talking about. Let's see here. Liz wants to know, if you were to record Toronto drivers for speed in a civilian car, pretty much every driver would get nailed. That's my point. I want to try and get some stats. So I've got a little side project where I'm developing a Raspberry. It's actually not that I'm developing it. I'm actually, it's something you can do too. It is an ALPR that is based on a Raspberry Pi. So a Raspberry Pi can be configured to be an ALPR. So that's a project that I've been playing with for a while with some open source software. And then I've got some angles to make it do speed enforcement as well, using some interesting algorithms that I dreamt up. I think it'll work, and I want to use that to determine the speed of vehicles around me, just for interest sake. Just curious. Obviously, I'm not someone who's going to be doing enforcement. However, I find it fascinating. LinkedIn user says, "Hey, great to see you again. I'm happy I got to connect with you at the show. Sadly, your name doesn't show up, so I don't know who I'm talking to, but if I met you at the show, I'm happy that I did." Brandon said he blew a tire at Daytona, and that was scary. Like on the track in Daytona or just in Florida? It's funny. In a discussion I had with Tire Butler, I was talking about Florida tire centers, versus tire business in Canada. And you think about tires being a big deal here because winter tires and summer tires and all sorts of tire changes. And what I didn't consider is how frequently people have to change tires in warmer climates. The hot roads tear apart tires. They just grind them down to nothing very, very quickly. So tires are a big business there. And when you think about tires, you should be thinking about the only thing that's between you and the road. They play a huge component in safety. They're the only thing that gets you going and stops you. And stopping is far more important than people give it credit for. Like everyone wants to know a traction for off the line, get up and go, but it's the stopping that really counts, and the turning. Good tires is important. Greg Marshall says, allow dash cam reporting. I think that'd be great. I don't think it's going to happen ever. Gotcha, Tony. Okay, yes, it has been a while since I've been at Jane. Thank you for tying that up there. The whole deal with the tires, though, it's a good investment to have good ones. It's a bad investment to have bad ones. I'll leave it at that. I've talked ad nauseum about winter tires and how important they are. Let's see here. Oh, Brandon, so when I get together with Brandon, we're having Italian, apparently. Okay. Now, Aiden says, winter tires very often fail because they sit for so long between seasons. Interesting. I think the bigger problem is how many seasons they sit for. Tires have a lifespan. Keeping them on the road beyond that lifespan is dangerous. They may look good if they've had low time. And it was Daniel who was giving me the shout out. What's going on, Daniel? I appreciate you connecting the dots for me. If they sit for too long, they can start falling apart. Plastic and rubber are not a forever thing. I look at some of those classic cars, the old Jeeps, the old Willys military Jeep, and you look at the rubber, and it's like, I wouldn't want to go fast in that. But where do you get the old rubber? Are they manufacturing old rubber for those vehicles? They must. They must be somebody with a mold for rubber. Now, when Bob makes tires in his car, are those good tires? Anyway, the things I think about. Okay. EO says, I don't know about that. Just have more traffic officers. So this is in discussion about having the whole civilians taking pictures and sending it to the police for enforcement purposes. Why not just have more traffic officers? And that is a great point. Here's the problem. We have in Toronto, especially the lowest cop to pop ratio. We need more officers. We're understaffed. You can't do more without having more. And we have people who are set to retire. The boomers are going, baby. And there's not enough people who want to come and work for a living and do good work and put their lives at risk and go do the work that a police officer does to keep the community safe. And that's really unfortunate. We need more cops. We need more good people. And people apply, but not everybody gets in because not everybody has managed to make good choices for their entire life. And that's sort of what you've got to do, because there's not a lot of leeway. If you're going to enforce the laws, you got to have to be someone who followed the law. Bernhard said, Aaron would love parking assist by having all those people putting in pictures. I wonder if they would be happy or sad to have people mowing their lawn. Anyway. Let's see. What do we got? I need water. By the way, at the auto show, I drank a lot of water because it is dry. Like dry there. Oh, Zen says, for some reason, cars that have a plate that starts with the letter D are so bad on the road. I'm sure there's some jokes I can make there, but I'm not sure what the story is. I'm not sure what that correlation can be, but I can make some really bad jokes. Oh, yes. Now, Tony, yes, we have to connect at the Wimp. Yes. Tony, I finally put 2 and 2 with the Tony, but now I can actually reach out and we can stay in touch. All right. Oh, Aiden says there's a great guy here on TikTok that catches bad drivers here in the GTA. Toronto street cams, road cams. He does some great stuff with his dash cam. By the way, buy a dash camera. Whatever you do, buy a dash camera. You need a dash camera for your own protection, but also to catch that amazing stuff. If it's not Toronto road cams, let me know who it is because I want to follow them. Let's see here. Oh, we had a whole bunch of stuff just pop in. Lots of questions. Hey, if you're watching, you don't know who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. Of course, the show is what you bring up. So if you're saying, why is he talking about this and not that? You haven't asked questions. If you ask questions, we got answers for you. All right. If you, Josh Vader, what's going on? Saw you at the show. Remember the username. Josh and his girlfriend who had to learn or watch every Star Wars movie after they started dating because he's all about Star Wars. If you witness a driver driving unsafe all over the road and have dash cam of it, can you send it to police? So you can, but there's some issues with it. The issues are you have to be able to identify the vehicle, identify the driver and location, and then you as the person who recorded it must be able to swear to it, so you're going to be able to witness. It gets complicated. Could you do it? Depends. Unlikely that it's going to have all those factors involved, because if you can't identify the driver for the charges that we would have to lay as police, we couldn't lay the charge. We can write them a letter. You can make a report, and what will happen is we will simply send them a letter saying, on this date and time, on this location, your vehicle, which is registered to you, was observed doing really dumb stuff. You should know that the dumb stuff was done. If it was you, don't do it again. If it was somebody you lent the car to, know that they were doing it in your car, that sort of thing. But to lay the charge is a different story. The charges for dash camera, the charges for red light camera and speed camera, those are special charges written into the HTA to allow automated enforcement. Okay. And Greg says, even if we make it like red light cameras and speed cameras, at least the vehicle. You know what? Greg makes a good point. If we change the law to allow owner responsibility for those offenses, I think it would be amazing. I just saw a message from Greg. What's going on, Greg? All right, 1 second. I want to see if Greg has a question he's trying to pop in. Yes, okay. I will reach out to Greg after the show because the answer is yes. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Greg says, try having a blowout on a motorcycle. Happened to me once with my wife on the back. That sounds terrifying. Rubber has a whole different meaning when it comes to motorcycles. There is not there's not really any option. How do you? Okay, it never happened to me, but man, that just sounds terrifying. What did you do? How did that go? Was it a rear tire? I want to know more now. Inquiring minds. Okay. Seth says, is there an appropriate punishment for all the G2 drivers being charged with speeds greater than 50 of the posted limit? Well, first of all, okay, so yeah, there are increased penalties. So what happens when a G2 driver gets charged for excessive speed? Well, as anyone in the learning process, G1, G2, They when they receive a ticket with more than 4 points, they get a 30-day suspension. It's part of the process once they're convicted. Whether they pay for it or they challenge it in court and fail, they are going to receive an additional suspension to whatever the original charge had. If they do it again, it's a longer suspension. So generally, first time is 30 days, second time is 90 days, third time they're kicked out of the driver program, and they get to start all over again. Jay Sutter asks, do you remember when I called into the radio show when you were on about Doug Ford's distracted driving? That's a while ago now. But I do remember when we were chatting about that. But I don't remember the specific call, but I do remember that whole thing because that was uncomfortable. This is talking about the premier who was taking video interviews while driving. It was not good. Okay, let's move on to the whole 50K discussion about G2 drivers. So there's already a higher consequence, and if they there's tons of situations or triggers that would get them to lose their license. Okay, Seth says the fines and suspensions don't seem to be a deterrent. It has to be a deterrent. What else do we have? Hard labor. Like we're going to start getting some rock collections made into smaller rock collections, or is it larger if there's more of them? Physically smaller. All right. And Josh Vader says that insurance goes through the roof. It's a tough situation for new drivers already. And I don't know how we fix the problem other than to have conversations like this a lot. Kane Blade 2049, who is obviously a magical human being, says, couldn't cut it as a real cop, huh? Typical. Sorry, I said that last time. I know this story. What? Anyway, someone who doesn't know my story, apparently. Oh, wait. He was just making a joke. Yeah, I guess. Because last time he came in harsh and then apologized after he found out that I was injured in a motorcycle collision. Anyway, love a Costco tire. That's EO. I've never bought tires from Costco. I've never had the tire service, but I meet a member of Costco. And I was a member and I was an employee of Price Club, which makes me old. Tires should be stored out of the sunlight or UV light. Yes, because that does wonders for rubber. So is it illegal to have an automated spike belt deployment system for vehicles trying to pass me? That's Kane Blade, who has a sense of humor. Yeah, I'm going to say it's illegal. Yeah. And Greg confirms that it's illegal. Josh forgot to ask when he was at the show, but how long and what do the shifts look like as a police officer? Ooh. So the deal is that as a police officer, it depends on the service you work for and what unit within the service you work for. When I got on, it was 7 days on, 6 days off, 7 days on, 5 days off, 7 days on, 3 days off, 4 days off, but you got off work on your first day off, so it really felt like 3. That no longer is the case. Many police services are 4 on, 4 off. They do 2-day shifts, 2 night shifts, 12 hours each, and then have 4 days off, which is good. Then you have 7 days on, 7 days off, which many of my colleagues from the Toronto Police are on. There's all sorts of variations, so it's hard to give you an answer. I don't know where you'd be going. All I know is I liked my 7 on, my compressed shift, 7-5, 7-4, 7-3. The reason being is that it was one afternoon shift every 5 weeks, which meant I only had to be away from my family once every 5 weeks. Because night shift, I saw my family. Day shift, I saw my family. But afternoons are crap. And now every other shift is an afternoon shift, which I think is suboptimal. Chris Photo Guy says, we miss you. I miss you too. Thanks for the message. Yeah, but I missed you at the auto show. If you were at the auto show, I would have seen you. But it was great to see you folks. I just didn't get to see all the folks. Got to come back to TSV and hang out for a day. Okay. Greg says that was the rear tire that blew. Controlled stop, so scary I couldn't dial the phone for roadside assistance. My wife had to. That is the ultimate being shook. I get that. Stress does wonderful things to us. Wonderful, and I mean horrible things to us. A minute left, and we do some dad jokes. Any dad jokes? If you got dad jokes, please let me know. Paul was waving, and Brandon says that he blew a tire at Daytona coming off the straightaway into turn 1. That does not at all sound like fun. KC Security Services, how you doing? Thanks for the heart. I appreciate it. KC Security is in the Sioux. Am I right? Did I remember that correctly? Sault Ste. Marie? I hope I said that. I hope I remember that correctly. Anyway, they're a security company and that does mobile patrol and all sorts of things out there. And they've won awards for being the bestest in the area. He does live streams here. If you're watching on TikTok, check him out because he will show you his cool cars. It is Sault Ste. Marie. See, Snowland. I remembered that. What is this question? What would happen if a G2? Oh, what would happen? What would happen if a G2 driver lets a G1 driver drive their car? And the answer is they are driving unaccompanied according to law. They are not licensed because it's a conditional license that requires a qualified G licensed driver to sit in the front passenger seat and supervise them. So if they're not with a qualified G-class driver, which means someone with 4 years driving experience, as a G and G2 combination. So if you got your G2, you did 2 years with that, then 2 years as a G, you'd be qualified. You'd have the 4 years required to supervise, but you want to look for the vertically oriented dots that are to the left of your mini-me photo in the bottom right hand corner of your driver's license. If you have those dots, you're qualified to supervise. That's the deal. If you don't, you're not, and you shouldn't. But what happens if they get caught? They get charged for $110 for G1 unaccompanied. Then you get a 30-day driving suspension on conviction. And, of course, it stays on the record. It's just a bad deal. If you do it a second time, a 90-day suspension, third time, you get kicked out of the driver's license or the learner's program. It's not a good thing. It's not a good look. I wouldn't do it. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Patrienko says, I got a no insurance ticket back in 2006, and I just received a letter stating my license is... Where's the rest of your question? I don't see the rest of it. Hang on. Maybe suspend. Is suspended due to non-payment, which was paid back in 19 years ago. I guess they're a little behind in the mail. That sounds ridiculous. I would look into that. Obviously, if you paid it, hopefully you have a record of paying it. Sounds like they made a boo-boo. But in the fact that you have been notified of your suspension, do not drive because that would be bad for you. But I would have somebody, I would go and have somebody look into that, whether it be a lawyer or a paralegal or yourself. But that's ridiculous. 19 years later, you've been driving without any. Reaper says snail mail? ? Let's see what we got here. We got. Jay Sutter says, did you enjoy driving marked or unmarked cars more? For the purposes of enforcement, I really appreciated being able to see drivers in their natural habitat, being that they do the wildest things when they don't think anyone is watching. As soon as they see the bubble on top of a car, they start behaving, which kind of defeats the purpose. Like in certain countries, they drive around with the police light constantly going, and the reason for that is they want to tell people they're there so people behave. And I understand the logic behind it. It is to make life a little safer potentially. But I want to catch the people to have a long-lasting impact, not just when they can see the light. So, yeah, unmarked were a lot of fun. Certainly much more ticket writing done in unmarked cars, so we should have more of them. Fire Tank says, watching from northern Alberta. How you doing, my friend? How is it in northern Alberta right now? What is going on by you? I'm always interested to know what the weather's like. It was that what was it? It used to be like chat lines. You're in Alberta? Is it snowing? In any case, hope you're doing well there. Stay safe. So Liz says, uniform of an officer, is the uniform black or midnight blue? That's a very good question, Liz. It's really midnight blue. It's not a black uniform. We talked about black shirts. They claim that they are black, but they're not. They're just a deep blue. The pant, and you never really. It looks black to the naked eye, but if you get close, it's a deep blue. But should it be black? Should it be blue? Does it matter? As long as it's not polka dot, I'm good. Okay. I think we're up to date. Are you that stupid? That's the username, not me saying name calling. Says, my friend got a ticket at a red light camera. He stopped for 1.9 seconds, not 3 seconds. That's not a thing. If they stopped for a red light camera, they would not have received the ticket at all. What the 19 seconds or the 3 second time that you're reading is likely how many seconds they crossed. It's how many seconds after they crossed. Let me try it one more time. It's how many seconds after the light turned red they crossed the line and entered the intersection, according to the camera system. So if you rolled past moments, you were trying to catch that yellow and it went red, and it went red just as you went there, 0.08 seconds, you still ran the red according to the system. Now, I think that the system should give you tickets for yellow, because yellow means stop unless it's unsafe to do so. And if they took the picture, they'd be able to know it was unsafe based on what else was going on in the system. Hey, if you're watching Toronto Enforcement Team, think about that. Add it. Hey, for those who weren't here earlier, did you see the stickers I made? Does it look like me? I think it looks just like me. Although I got to get the point on my beard. But it's artistic license. I want that Viking look. KC Security says, dad joke time. Yes, we are definitely in the dad joke realm. Okay. So we'll just answer this one. Abby wants to know if it's true that when you lose demerit points, it stays on your record permanently. So your record, your driving abstract, is forever. But does it stay on forever? Well, the insurance companies only see what happens in 3 years, because your convictions are what they look at, and those stay on your current record for 3 years from the date of the finding guilt. Now, when it comes to demerit points, those are not something that the insurance company care about at all. That's for the Ministry of Transportation to be able to manage or track your driving behavior. And the way it works is that if you are convicted, those are applied to your account, your history, for 2 years from the date of the offense. So if it took you a year till you were convicted, then it would be on for another year. And if you were to accumulate more than a certain number of points, different things happen. A letter goes to your house and says, you are a bad driver. And if you do it, if you get to the next threshold, they go, you are a really bad driver. And then finally, they can put you in a situation where you have to take a course, or they suspend you. Things like that. But in terms of what the police can see, we see forever. Okay. We got. I think we're good. And Greg Marshall just said what I was thinking, or typed what I said. We're on the same page, Greg. We always are. All right. Dad joke. I think I only have one dad joke. I think I only have one dad. No way. Anybody got a dad joke? Throw it in the chat right now, because I am going to read the one from Bernhardt. I ordered chicken and egg online. I'll let you know which comes first. Why is it? There we go. A button wasn't buttoning. I like that. That's a good joke. Anyone got one better? It's weird not to have more dad jokes. I've become completely reliant on dad jokes from the audience, because sometimes I used to have a calendar, but we don't have a new one. Greg says, most times we're on the same page, but sometimes I'm more correct, he says. Hamid wants to know, can you enter a bike lane to execute a right turn? Depends on whether it's a bike lane or a bike track, a cycle track. Cycle tracks are separated by a physical barrier. You can't do that. When you get into a situation where you have a bike lane, you can actually enter it because there's hash marks or a green painted space. And really, it depends on the design. So whether or not you can enter really depends on how it's designed. It is the safer way to go. Cyclists will argue that you're in their space. And of course, if they're already there, you are in their space. But if you block that with your car to pinch the curb, they are able to pass you to the left, which prevents you from hitting them when you make the turn in front of them, because so many of them believe that the rules don't apply to them and they do not yield for turning vehicles. They just want to have priority. Now, on a cycle track, they do have priority. Now, they should not be accelerating to pass you while you're making a turn. Very often you're in the blind spot. And odd things happen, like collisions, because they do the dumbest stuff ever. But a lot of that is the fault of the design of the bike lane and a poor job of communicating what the rules are to all involved. I think that of the many, I don't have a count of the actual number of bike lanes there are in the city of Toronto. I think they're almost all unique to one another. Like there's very little consistency in their design. It creates a lot of confusion. So I think it can be done better. If we're going to have bike lanes, there should be consistent rules surrounding them, but there aren't. William Tell says, your voice quality is excellent. What brand of mic are you using? Thanks for that. I'm using this SM7B, and this time I didn't spill water to show you the microphone. I'm also going through a Rodecaster Pro 2 as my my digital audio device. So between the two of them, it's a fantastic combo. I have a bunch of mics. I'm a bit of a mic geek. This one has been my favorite for a long time. I've tried the what was the other one? The RE20 I had for a while. But this one just seems to work with my voice the best. I have all sorts of Rode microphones. Again, I like this one the most. Okay, what do we have here? We have jokes from Jay Sutter, and then jokes from Chris Photo Guy. And if I was able to get to Akela's jokes, he sent me an email in advance of the show with those jokes. So first is from Jay Sutter. Did you hear about the cheese factory explosion in Ottawa this morning? There was nothing but debris left. Now, I'm not doing it justice because he put it in 2 lines. Hang on a second. Because yes, I screwed it up because I thought the joke was in 1 line and I was wrong. Here's the end. Here's the debris. Brie is the cheese, for those who don't know what brie is, and moving on. Okay, what did the bug say when it hit the windshield? I don't have the guts to do that again. Oh my God, 2-line jokes mess with me. I gotta 1 line better, even though it gives the punchline before. But yeah, I'll know for next time when you give dad jokes, Jay Sutter and Chris. I'll make sure I cut and paste twice before I hit go. Okay, I got to go. It has been a slice. Oh, no. I see Graybeard 911 has a question. We can't leave him without that answer. All right. Oh, and there's a joke here from KC Security Services. My boss asked me why I only get sick on work days. I said it must be my weekend immune system. My weekend immune system. Okay. Okay. What do you call cheese that doesn't belong to you? It's nacho cheese. Buck Fanks says, beard is looking mighty strong. Thank you very much. And Graybeard 911 says, making a turn at a median, should we use the inside or outside lane of the turn? Sorry, U-turn. Good. Because a turn, you have to make the appropriate. So a proper turn when you turn from one street to another is from the turning lane or leftmost lane to the appropriate or equal lane on the other side. So if you're going from left lane to left lane, if you're making a right turn from the curb lane, you go into the right curb lane when you make your right turn. Makes sense? But when you're making a U-turn, what happens? Excuse me. Depends on the construction of the road. If you've got, like in York Region, where you have these giant bus lanes, you can actually go into the appropriate lane. But if you are making a U-turn, it's going to be a wide turn. It's kind of impossible not to. I don't think there's any way to avoid it. So you make the turn that you can make, and then you get into the appropriate lane. But here's the thing about U-turns. They can only be made where it's not prohibited by sign and not prohibited by design. So it has to be safe based on your observations and belief prior to going. And of course, you have to be right, because if you cause a collision, you are going to be in a situation where you caused the collision. And if you're a turning vehicle, you are the fault vehicle. And so I couldn't give someone an improper turn on a U-turn as long as it wasn't prohibited. So where is the prohibited location? It's going to be any bridge, bridge, viaduct, tunnel, rail crossing. It's going to be any curve of road that blocks vision. It's going to be any rise in grade, or I guess the opposite, where any decline that's going to prevent you from seeing what's going on. And if of course you cause a collision, whatever it was wrong. So you will be found at fault, which is a very unpleasant place to be. All right. Now I think we're actually done, and I will be back on Wednesday at 10 a.m. So if you've got questions, you can always go on to askatrafficcop.ca. You can go to trafficcop.ca. You can just jump on to the DMs on TikTok and the other platforms. Shoot me a message. I'm happy to try and answer them for you. And yeah, if you want to wait to the show, wait for the show. We'll take care of it then. All right, be well, drive safe, drive sober, and park legally, or Aaron gets upset. Have a great day. And William Tell jumped in with one just as I was going to hit end. And he wants to know if you can do a U-turn at a traffic light. If there's a turning lane, if there's no sign prohibiting it, if it's safe to do so, I don't see any reason. And if you have many traffic lights in York region, and I'm sure it's in Toronto, actually, absolutely in Toronto, where it says U-turns permitted. It's explicitly permitted. Why is that important? I don't know. Why do they put the signs there? I guess they're trying to incentivize people to do that, because otherwise people are left confused, thinking that they can't do U-turns. Yeah. Take care.